All right, all right. Well, here we are. Episode 6 of season 2 of the Made in Dreams podcast. As usual, I am your host, Mighty Vicious, here along with Jamie James the Emperor. And
Good
today
afternoon, all.
and today we are joined by Marshall, but y'all may know him on Twitter and in dreams as Dirty Flusher. How you doing today, my guy?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and kick right into it. Tell
Okay.
us who you are, where you came from, what you love about dreams, and everything about everything.
Okay, no pressure then. Yeah. Uh, my name's Marshall. Marshall Porter. I'm from Scotland, in case you can't tell from this really thick accent that I've got. I got into Dreams and I signed up to try and get into the beta, but unfortunately I didn't get access, and I had to wait for the early release to come round, and then I was playing it then. But it first came up on my radar quite late compared to everybody else. It just came out of nowhere. Somebody said to me, "Look at this game," and I thought, "Wow, that's amazing." A game that lets you build your own game essentially. Played previous things like Project Spark in the past. Just dabbled a little bit in that. Any kind of creative game stuff, like even like The Sims, that lets you place stuff about almost like when you're working with assets. You place them about. You've got your radio here. That's anything that lets me be creative in a game I really like. So I was really looking forward to Dreams coming out, but at the same time, I was a wee bit nervous. It seemed to be quite I don't know. It's quite a big game, big thing they were trying to achieve with this game, and I've seen certain games in the past not quite live up to the expectations. So I was quietly just waiting for it to come out. And I remember when it came out, I was unemployed at the time when it came out, and I didn't have any money, and I saw it on the store, and I thought, oh, I need to get that. So I looked at my bank account, zero money in the bank account. I thought, I'll just try and buy it anyway and see what happens. So I just went through and I bought it, using my they let you. There was a time on the PlayStation Store when they let you use your phone to pay for stuff, and it would be added to your phone bill.
Yeah.
So that's how I got Dreams. I thought I need to have that, add it to my phone bill. I just won't pay it. So someone somewhere, I owe someone some money for my copy of Dreams. So I got that for free, and as soon as I launched in, it was just great. I look back at some of the early creations, some of the stuff I didn't even release, and I think that's probably some of the best stuff I've ever made. The early days of Dreams was great. You were so free to do whatever you wanted, but there's more time kind of passed. You had to kind of find what was more your route, what you wanted to do, and then it kind of became a bit more narrow as you concentrated on this. But at the start, everything and anything was possible, and you were just making some really crazy stuff, and a lot of other people were making some really crazy stuff, and it was just so good. I don't know, what else do you want to know?
Well, I find it interesting you saying in the beginning of Dreams, but I don't know if you can elaborate on that, because it sounds like you feel like it's become more restrictive.
Well, you kind of restrict yourself, I feel, because you can't do everything. There's very few people in the world just now who are making games themselves. Like sole creators of a game. You've got like Stardew Valley is one, and I'm struggling to think of another one. I know there's a couple of games out there where one people just kind of takes control, kind of makes the whole game almost. But in Dreams, it is all about collabing and finding the right people. So I'm still trying to find what my route is and what I'm good at. It's obviously got something to do with RPGs and that, so I'm just kind of narrowing myself to making that more often, rather than maybe going and trying to do some of the community jams, or maybe some animation, or any of the many other things that Dreams allows you to do. I just kind of focus on my thing now. And when I say the beginning of Dreams, I'm talking about the beginning of Dreams for me as well, because obviously by the time I joined in, I think Dreams had been like a thing kicking about for like maybe 2 years by then as well. So there was a lot of people who had been playing it for a lot longer than I had.
Yeah. I'm around the same time. When I jumped in, I saw immediately how many people had actually already gotten their footing in it. And so it worked for me as inspiration, because I immediately, I was sold on it back when they first unveiled it and started talking about it, and then seeing what people had already done by the time I got my hands on it, I was like, oh, well, then, yeah, it's everything they said it was going to be. And, it's only proven even more so since then.
Does it just keeps opening up? Like you just haven't seen the limit to dreams yet, or if there is a limit, it just keeps getting better and better. And there will be a time in like a year. There is no limit. There'll be a time in like a year or two down the line where there'll be people making games that are just indistinguishable from like AAA titles and stuff like that. I think it's possible to do that. You really need to get involved and do all the collabing and find other people to work with you, because if you've got a good idea, it's hard to get it out just with it. For one person, by the time you've got, fitting it in between work or in between life, you really just kind of need to go out there and find other people who share your passion and your dream and work with them.
So speaking of that, do you have anyone that you're collaborating with in order to get Tales from Darktown out, or is it a solo project?
No, done it all myself.
No,
I'm only kidding. I know the guys will be watching, so that was just annoying.
Okay, I was going to say, I'm very impressed.
Most of Darktown, like for the last year, I've been working on it myself. I'm just getting really stressed out with it. A lot of the times, I've got this vision that I want to portray to people, and I just couldn't get it done in a timely manner, the time I wanted to do it, or to make it look or feel like how I wanted to. And like, I've been working on Darktown for a year and never really had anything to show for it other than maybe Darktown Racing, which some people played. And every now and then I'll put out like a battle system just to see how it's going. But other than that, I hadn't released it. And so I put the word out on Twitter looking for people to join the team. And I got a few people back to me, but eventually it just turned out it's Flash Medallion. I think you might have heard that. Do you know Flash Medallion? He helps out a lot. He's more involved in the logic side and stuff. My logic skills are pretty good, but it's a bit it's just it's like jerry-rigged a lot of my logic. It's a bit of a mess to look at, but logically, if you follow it, it gets you the right output for whatever you're needing. But I'll send the same thing to Flash, and he's just an absolute wizard on the logic. He'll send it back to you, and it's beautiful, and he saves so much thermal space, and it reads almost like a tutorial when you see it. And it's just so good, and it's so easy to use, and it's so simple when you actually look at it. But only someone who has so much skill could make it so simple. It would take all my logic and all this mix of wires, and bring it down to like two logic chips or something. So I mean, Flash is really good for that. He was involved a little bit for Homecoming. If you see the menu systems in Homecoming, he helped logic them. Unfortunately for Homecoming, we made it so that it wasn't possible to go into some of the menu items, so you couldn't see all his work. But for this next game, you're going to see a lot more of his influence on the game, and he's already given me a lot of logic systems and mechanics for this next game, and they're really good. So you'll see a lot more of his influence in the game. And the other person that joined was someone called Michael Morris. He's not in Dreams. I think he's got Dreams now, so he can look at Darktown and keep it up to date. But he wasn't really a dreamer. He reached out to me. He wanted to help write. So he helps me with getting all the ideas in my head down in paper. He's like a lore master, I feel like. We'll have discussions, and I'll tell him what Darktown's like, what these characters are doing, who this and that, and then he'll put it down into something that all the team can follow and, be reading off the same page. But I think the guys can get a bit annoyed sometimes because I'm a bit messy. I just go in. And so this morning, for instance, me and Flash have been working on the menu system. He sent it back to me, absolute pristine, beautiful. And I decided I wanted to give it a bit of a facelift. So I went in and I edited it all. And it stopped working, and I deleted some stuff, and I'm thinking, this is an apps. I'm gonna have to send this back to him. So I basically had to send it back to him and say, there you go. Can you fix the mess that I made of your original contraption?
I made you some work here.
So I think get a bit annoyed by that, but that's just the way I work. I don't think he'll like to hear this, but I don't think that's the way that's going to change at all. I have been trying to change my logic to kind of match his, because I can see his and I can kind of almost replicate it, but not as good. But I'm trying to get to work more like him, because he is more into the logic Flash, so he can, probably best to follow his lead, I think. And also Michael gets annoyed as well because he's like the lore master and he writes down these really detailed notes, and then I make the game and I just disregard them completely.
So was there a story for this beforehand that he's touching up, or did you just start working at I'm going to create these characters in this thing and just put them through the paces, and then someone's like, well, I can make a story for that?
Yeah, well, the thing about Darktown is it's kind of like a big living, breathing city with like lots of characters in it. So we know all the history of the city. We know kind of how it works, different places, different areas, different districts, and then we create characters that live within the city and how they interact with each other. And then whenever we feel like we want to make an episode, we can just dip into the city and just pull out a character and write it for them. Homecoming, the first episode, but that was based more on Jack. And the reason we're doing that is we think that the first feature episode will probably feature Jack, and it'll be more about Jack's story. So at the moment, we're releasing a couple of Tales from Darktown episodes that's going to fill you in on the main players of that feature game when it comes along. Okay. So you'll be introduced to all these characters, how the game works, mechanics and stuff like that, and then we'll get the main feature game out, and you'll be able to follow maybe Jack's story again. Because I'm not sure if people understand this, but like Tales from Darktown will follow different people. As I said, we'll get a different character in this, so we won't actually return to Jack until we get to her feature story, which is maybe a couple of games down the line.
Wow. So plenty of episodes to look forward to in the future then.
Yeah, somebody who it was Freaky. Me and Freaky have been talking as well. He's thinking about maybe coming on board and doing more. Him and Reddish Boat done the music, and it's it's great. Absolutely great tunes they done. But Freaky might be coming on board to do a little bit more than just music. I don't want to say any more right now, but we're talking, and
interesting.
Hopefully Freaky will be on board as well. Sorry, I forgot what the question was. What was the question? Was there a question?
Well, yeah, I mean that pretty much answered it. It was just that whether or not there was a pre-existing story that the writer's working through, or was it just you creating all these districts, towns, and whatever, and then having him come in to put it together?
Yeah, well, that's why I mentioned Freaky, actually, because I was talking to him the other day, and he wanted to know roughly how far in advance we knew Darktown was going to go, how many games we had planned and stuff. And the answer's 15. We actually have 15 games planned right now. It seems a bit, I don't know, maybe it's a big goal to stretch for, especially since I've only released one. But to take us up to the story that I want to tell, it's going to take about 15 games to get there.
Fantastic.
So, I mean, is it, when you say 15 games, do you mean 15 segments that you'll be able to link together to make a full game? Or do you mean like 15 actually different completely games?
Yeah, well, I mean, Darktown keeps getting these layers. There's a main narrative thread for Darktown. It features these 3 characters, and it's quite a big story to tell, so we thought we would break it down and we'd do smaller episodes. So we decided we would do Jack's story, and then Jack's story ended up ballooning and becoming like this really big thing. So then we thought, right, we need to go smaller again, so we need to do the Tales from Darktown and just keep it like 15-20 minutes, because otherwise we're just going to get carried away with ourselves. So we've got those Tales from Darktown episodes, which are like 30 to 40 minutes long. We want to make 3 of them, which will introduce all the characters and main players for the feature game. We make one so then we'll make the feature game, and yes, that will probably include some of the scenes and characters that you've seen from previous games. It helps us to make these small episodes, and then we can use some of those assets and scenes in the bigger game. But not anything that you've seen so far will probably just be like side missions and stuff. All the main story for the feature game will all just be fresh. It'll all be new, so you don't have to worry about retreading old ground that way. We'll probably just use the scenes from like Homecoming. That would be like a place you could go and do a side mission. You work your way there and you can do it there. So it's good that we make these smaller games, and it makes the feature game a bit easier to make because we'll have stuff we can fall back on. But, so we'll talk about the layers. So we make 3 Tales from Darktown games and 1 feature game. Okay, and that covers 1 of the 4 districts of Darktown. So there's 4 different districts with different visual styles and people that live in them. So we do 3 Tales from Darktown, 1 feature for each. What did I say? Each segment, each plays in Darktown, and then when we finish that, we'll have 12 made. we'll have 12. God, man, my math. I think 12 made in Darktown episodes, 3 feature, and then after that we're going to go to make, which is the main feature Darktown game, which is what Darktown is for me, is like a full-on 20-hour RPG epic, and it sounds like a big ask, but I really think we can do it. Especially by the time we get to the mega feature Darktown game, the main Darktown game, we're going to have all these other games and all this other scenery and stuff. It's going to be a lot easier to put a game together that's going to take you 20 to 30 hours to play.
Wow, so plenty of content.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah.
Wow.
So with that in mind, is there an overarching goal for this? Like when I say that, I mean, like, for now, because we've talked about many aspects that people want for Dreams, with you putting in and basically starting off putting in all of this work on this IP, is this something that you intend to take into maybe another format, or like, is there going to be an aspect that's going to be another format of this to leave Dreams?
Well, right now, I don't know. I guess I'm pretty loyal when it comes to stuff like that. If it's Dreams that allowed me to make this game, so it's Dreams I'll continue to make it on until such a time as I'm unable to. If it's about making money from it, it's not really a thing that's in the forefront of my mind, but Dreams allows you to do that yourself anyway, for you to make some kind of money off your art and stuff like this. So I would never really leave Dreams, because that's what made, if it wasn't for Dreams, I wouldn't be making games right now. Everything else just seemed too hard, too unapproachable, all the other kind of game maker things. And Dreams is just so simple and easy to use, and everyone at Media Molecule is just great. It's good watching the streams. It's they interact on Twitter with their fans a lot.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
I guess I have a few questions. Like, I mean, I can see the many influences that make up Tales from Darktown, but whether it be like touchy comas from Ghost in the Shell or just Final Fantasy VII all around, like, what is the biggest influence? Because, I mean, and I don't want to say this in a way that's taken as disrespect, because even with the styles and all the influences that I see, it still comes out as something wholly original to me. Yeah. And so I just want to know, like, what was your biggest draw for this game?
Sure. Well, I mean, as I mentioned, I've already mentioned earlier and stuff, but it really is just Final Fantasy VII right at the forefront is what's driving me. When Final Fantasy VII came out, and I was in like the last year of primary school, so I was like 11, maybe about 11 years old, and up till then you've been playing like Mega Drive games. PlayStation had just come out, so you'd just been playing like I don't know, like Pandemonium on the PlayStation, or like Alien Trilogy, or like just kind of throwaway action games. And then for me, when Final Fantasy VII came out, it was just, I'd never witnessed anything like it before. And as a young kid, I thought it was really smart, because you had to read the whole game. You were told it. So I thought, I'm quite smart. This is just like reading a book, And everybody at school was playing it, so it was great to come in and you would talk about it with your friends, and it was just such an event, Final Fantasy VII. So there's very, very, very strong links with that. Once we go into the story more and the history of Darktown and how it got to where it is, it does kind of cross over into a lot of territory of Final Fantasy. But I try to quickly get out of there as quickly as I can. Sometimes we hit points where you think, that's a bit like Final Fantasy, and then I'll quickly just get out as quick as I can, because I don't want it to. But some of it has bled over into my own, into Darktown itself. But other than Darktown, I like the Discworld novels by Terry Pratchett. Okay. Don't know if he's read them. Yeah. So as you know, like, they're all kind of set in the same city, and they follow different characters, and the characters all kind of interlink and mingle with each other. And it's up to Terry Pratchett who he wants to write about. For his next book, he'll just step in and just take out whatever character he likes. So I kind of look at Darktown to be a bit similar to, I think it's Ankh-Morpork is the city in Discworld. So I kind of feel that's quite similar, but also one more. I've got 3 really strong references for it, and the third one is like the Yakuza games. Really a big fan of the Yakuza games and the stuff they do. Sorry, my friends just text me. I see it on my screen. It says you sound like a right prat. Jesus. He's watching, so he's not enjoying my posh Scottish accent.
Oh no. Well, another thing JC Hedges in chat brought up that I hadn't even thought of, but is dead on. the setup of the game really does remind me of the old Fallout type setup.
It does,
and maybe even more so that than Final Fantasy. Now that he said it.
Well, I would have to disagree with you there.
The only reason I say it is because of it's more than just the look. It's like the style of it. Like if it just, I don't know if you played the first ones, because the only reason I got to play the first Fallout was because a friend of mine had an old school Mac when I was in like just starting high school, and he showed me Fallout for the first time in my life, and I was just like, whoa, this is crazy. So I've always had a soft spot, but yeah, it definitely reminds me.
Unfortunately, I've never played the early. I know what they look like, so I get that kind of thing, and I think what do you call it, the containers that I use, the asset, which is like a green shipping container, I think they are actually Fallout models. From the Dreamiverse, and I think the label does Fallout ones, so I'm sure that maybe helps a little bit. And I think it's really the perspective that you're looking at it kind of gives that away, you know. It was. Yeah. But I've never played the original Fallout games, but I take that as a compliment anyway. They're good games. Played a lot of the later ones.
But yeah, I mean, for me personally, the whole game. I mean, when I first saw it, you know, I just instant Final Fantasy VII vibes. This is a Final Fantasy VII. Someone that loves that style of game has took that and used it to their own, and it just with the neon signs and, you know, the little animated things in the backgrounds, it's such a passion project, and I've never seen anyone really pull off this type of art style as well as you have within Dreams. Like, it was so refreshing to see someone attempt this style and actually deliver, like with the faded black background and how it's all focused into one tiny shot. It's just so well produced.
Oh, thanks. A lot of that's just accidental, to be honest. A lot of like see the black fading off and all this kind of stuff. You know, so half the time I don't know what I'm doing in Dreams. You just put logic in, or you put a light here or this here, and you just wait for it to look good. And that's really all I've done in that. I can't say any of it was deliberate. So I just start creating, and then I'll move the camera till I get an angle I like, and then just start creating around it like that.
Oh, that's really interesting, because the actual black aesthetic that you've got with, like, you know, everything focused in the middle of the shot with like this nice black faded background seemed very deliberate, and it's a style that really works well with the type of game that you're making.
It is something that I want to try and, you know, bring into it, because it was an accident. I think you're talking about the main scene with Jack when you're outside of our house, and you get that. That was just an accident the way that happened, but I kind of leaned into it as it started to happen. I was like, oh, this is great, this black faded background in that. When you're in the interiors, you get your black background all around that, but that's just text boxes to hide everything, you know.
Yeah.
So you get that kind of, I really like that look as well. When you start closing stuff off with text boxes and I don't know, something about the light, I don't know what it is. It just, the game starts looking better when you put text boxes in scene. I don't know what it is, so I can't explain it. But once you start putting text boxes in, it just kind of pops out of the screen.
Well, Olsen Matt wants to know if you will release this so that he can take a look at how you built it.
No.
I'm gonna have to give a hard no on that.
I've honestly, to be totally honest with you, I've not got a problem with showing people it. It's just a mess, you know. I'm sure you've got like creations yourself, and maybe because as I say, I've been working on a lot of Dark Town for a year, so some of the stuff that's in that new episode is from like a year ago, and it's just tied into so many of my other creations and stuff like that. But what I always say to anybody who's creating an RPG, you know, if you want to know, if you want help with like the battle system and stuff, you know, my battle systems, you know, it's almost that being perfected, at least for me, to where I want it to be. So it's quite easy for me to turn it around for somebody else's game, you know. So I'd be happy to, although I wouldn't let somebody necessarily have a look into it, I'd be happy to help them out and maybe let them look at it. You know, it depends what they want to look at. If you want to look in the battle system, which is what I think people would be most interested in, I could maybe let people look into that. I've not got a big deal, but everything else just so messy, and I take people to see under the hood.
Well, do you stream?
I don't stream. No, this is the first kind of stream or live showing of me ever.
You should stream.
I don't know. I've thought about streaming sometimes, but you would just get frustrated at how long it takes me. And, you know, I'll be sitting there, I'll move like a barrel just 1 inch to the right, and then I'll stand back. You know how when like an artist puts like a a stroke on the paint than the easel, and then they stand back with their thumb. Look, I do lots of that. I'll move a barrel 2 inches, and then I'll just stand and look at it for ages, and then I'll think no, and then I'll move it back to where it was originally.
Well,
Sorry,
Talc wanted to know what from chat. Do you have an art background?
No, I don't have a background in anything really. Anything that would be that interesting or related to dreams. Just always kind of being a creative person, like to try my hands at lots of different things. I've never found anything that I would say was my specific outlet, but I'm definitely finding it with dreams now. There's something in there. Dreams is my outlet, but there's something else in dreams. You need to find your place in dreams as well as dreams just being the thing that you love. There's also like you have to find your place in it and what it is you're good at and doing, because there's lots of stuff I'm really bad at, and you won't find any of that in Darktown, because I just like to put in the best of what I can do, rather than stretch and try and do something that's too complicated and it comes out looking rubbish.
I mean, that's a good practice to have, just like in writing. Whenever someone tells me like I can't write or something like that, and I don't know who said it, but years ago someone said, you can write, just write what you know. And as long as you write what you know, you can write. If you try to breach outside, if you know nothing about space travel and you're trying to make a sci-fi about traveling in space, you're probably going to sound like an idiot. And it's going to be hard as hell to write it. But yes, I mean, stick to what you know. That's a good way to be. I did want to say, like, for Sid and Jack, like, or the other characters within this, do you have real life counterparts that these are based on, or?
Not particularly. I think I might have accidentally named Sid and Jack after 2 guys that I work with, but because they have the exact same names. And I was talking to them about it the other day, and I said, I made this small game in Dreams. They said, that's great, what's the main character's called? And I went to say it, and I realised it was their names. I thought, it's Sid and Jack. And they looked at me like, what? I thought, it must have just somehow just got into my mind. But I mean, Sid is such a Final Fantasy.
It is, yeah.
You know, you'll get a Sid in every Final Fantasy usually, and it's usually kind of spelt differently. So in this case, it's spelled, SYD, which is quite a strange spelling. And Jack is just I think Jack's just a great kind of cyberpunk name for a girl. It's just, you've got Jack in, I can't remember the second name, but you've got like Jack in Mass Effect. And Jack itself is just such an action hero name. You know, you've got Jack Sparrow, Jack Harkness. Every hero ever basically called Jack. So it's just in there for that.
Okay. All right. Well, I have a pretty big question, but I feel like I haven't been letting Jamie get in here. So
actually, do you mind if I just go back to that last point you were asking?
Of course.
They were based on like any real people. I don't necessarily base them in real people, but I have been bringing like real people into it. I don't know if once you complete Homecoming, you get to leave Jack's house and you meet the shop vendor. I don't know if any of you guys have got that far, but you meet the vendor, and the vendor is Lottie. And that's Lottie from Pig Detective.
From our
Pig Detective.
From our chat, yes.
Yeah. So, sorry, I can't see the chat. Hi,
okay.
Lottie. So Lottie's in it as well, and there's a couple other characters that are named for other dreamers. You know, I'm happy to. I put out a tweet a while ago asking people to suggest names. I've got that written down somewhere, so you will see some other maybe names focusing on other dreamers. There might even be a Mighty Vicious in there, or a Jammy J, or who knows.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye out.
Yes. So, James.
So the battle system I found very polished. It was very well made, very consistent. How long did it take you to sort of refine your battle system to get it to where you're happy with it now?
Yeah, well, that's the thing that's kind of taken the most time to work on, was the battle system. I made a game called Aground about a year ago, and that was kind of like a small RPG, but there was no battle system in it. And you can't make an RPG without a battle system, and that's all I really wanted to make. So I just had to go back to the drawing board and think about it. I've been through like maybe 7 different versions of the battle system. I should have really released a game alongside each one. It would have made sense, but I just wasn't happy with it. I just really didn't want to release it until I was happy with it. If you follow me closely on Twitter, you'll see that some of the previous battles that I've posted, we can already deal with like multiple parties. So we have like 3 party systems already in play, but we took it out for Jack's story because the only person that we needed to battle was Jack, and I couldn't be bothered making a battle sprite for Sid. So we just left him outside to get attacked with the spiders. I totally forgot what the question was. Where was I going? Sorry. Terrible.
No, it's just talking about the battle system and
the battle system. Sorry,
to refine it.
Sorry. Well, the battle system that's in Hometown as well, Homecoming, isn't the final battle. We're already working towards the next game, and the next game's you're going to be able to play the next game a lot more. You know, Homecoming was all about the story. It was about getting across the feeling of the game and how most of it's going to play. You know, it was just about showing people that, in essence, that it looks like Final Fantasy.
I mean, it definitely played like a teaser demo for what's to come, because I got into it as soon as I had that first battle, and I don't want to spoil the story for anyone that hasn't played the game yet, but you know, it's like as soon as it started, it ended, and I was like, oh no, I need more. Like I've just got through the beginning, through the intro, and
it's Mighty Vicious again, all over again.
It is. It's just like I can't keep being teased, and I appreciate that, you know, games in Dreams can take a very long time to make, so people tend to release smaller releases so that they're getting their content out there. Otherwise, you know, it take them 3 or 4 years before they release something. Yeah. But there's just so many good creations in Dreams, including yours, that are just so unique, but they're just so short. Bigger playtime.
The thing is, like, I've got so much like material for Dark Town. I've got so many scenes, so many characters, a lot of different stuff that's just sitting there waiting to go. We're just trying to find a good way to deliver it. I think we found a good way with Tales from Dark Town. But the one thing that I struggle with the most is like writing stories, getting like the structure for a story. All of the dialogue in the game was written by me, so I could do dialogue, but I usually just start writing and see where it takes me, and then I end up like writing myself into a corner or whatever. I'm not very good at sitting down with some structure, a story written down as a script, and just following it off that. So I'm kind of looking for someone to help me with that. And once I do, you know, as soon as somebody puts a script in front of me, I can kind of whip up a new Dark Town game in maybe a month or 2 months or something like that, with all the stuff that I've got sitting waiting. But the next, if you really liked the first episode, the second episode is going to be amazing. It's going to focus, as I said, focus more on gameplay. You're going to be battling a lot more. There's going to be bosses. You're going to be able to level up. Going to be able to change and find all your equipment and accessories and stuff like that.
And is there an expected release date for the second iteration?
I mean, I don't mind giving it a rough release date. I don't hold me to it. But I would say we would probably see it in the next 3 months.
Okay.
I want
that's
to get.
Good.
I don't
He's
want
gonna hold
to.
you to
I don't want to drag it out for too long. You know, I don't want to have to wait another year to get one, because I've put all that work in. Now it's just piecing what we've got together to make something.
Well, if it's not released by the 12th of May, I will be contacting you personally through Twitter to ask you where this game is.
What are you doing?
Where's episode 2? Come on, I can't wait any longer now.
Yes. He is going to do it. Don't you? It's all jokes now, but he is going to do it.
I will.
That's how jammy is.
I call it motivation, but it's not just me getting my way.
It's motivation for me. You know, that's really all I need to make a game. I only make it for 2 people. I just make it for myself and for you, the playing, whoever plays it. You know, as long as there's still somebody on either side of that wanting to make or either play it, I'll just continue doing it.
Well, I'll always be here, so keep making them.
Okay. Right, so it'll just be me and you then. I'll just send you a version. And you just sit and play it.
Well, it's as far as like classic RPGs go, like turn-based is my absolute favorite. I've never been a fan of the mixed real-time turn-based approach.
Yeah.
With it being I don't know. I feel like in the last couple of years, in modern gaming, like we've seen the move away from turn-based. Like they keep trying to fix something, in my opinion, that ain't broke. But like with that in mind, like why did you choose this format? Like not complaining. I haven't liked Final Fantasy, honestly, since they changed it back at like 11 or 12. I stopped playing them altogether. But like, you know, what would you say was your main reason? Is it just your love of the old games?
It is as well, but as what you said, you know, people are moving away from turn-based as if it's an old mechanic. It's not an old, I don't think or feel it's an old mechanic. It's just a mechanic that people aren't using anymore. You know, if you want to know what an old mechanic is, I'll probably get some shit for saying this, but like platformers are an old mechanic. You know, we were platforming on Mega Drives and stuff like that, and people still continue to make them, but you don't get just as much with the turn-based retro RPGs. You know, I know SquareSoft have like an ARM company, and they've made a couple of games like I Am Setsuna, and some other game which are quite retro and turn-based, but as you said, it just kind of seems like everybody thinks it's an old mechanic, but there's nothing I love more than getting into a battle, and then you're like halfway through it and you think, could have a wee cup of tea or a cigarette or something. You set it down and the battle's still playing and everything just stops. You know, it's a real, you just take your time with it and stuff. And for me, with the original Final Fantasies as well, like the battles were just more of a nuisance. You know, I still enjoyed them. You still got, but it was like you were walking through like a field and all of a sudden that battle music would start and you go, oh shit, no, another battle. You just want to get to the next story point. That was it for me. I really see when all the characters are all sitting about and they're all talking with each other. I love all that. I love seeing the wee sprites and the wee characters just kind of move their arms slightly to make gestures, and you know, it's kind of a lot of it's kind of in your head to really judge and really see what's going on.
Yeah. Well,
okay, I find that fascinating that, you know, back in the day, like with especially like the old Final Fantasies, especially Final Fantasy VII, you know, gestures and things was absolutely essential to try and perceive any emotion because they didn't have the ability to do, you know, the amazing cutscenes that we have today. And it's so cool to see that you're trying to still make that work today when you have an engine that has the ability to portray that motion correctly, but yet you want to stay true to the original style that motivated you for the game.
Well, I mean, I've got an engine that does all that. I just don't have the skills to do all that.
Man after my own heart.
Maybe if I start getting better, you might see stuff like that. There was a cutscene in Homecoming, but I took it out at the last minute. It just wasn't really popping. My animation skills are probably the one thing I really need to focus on more. I'm also really interested in getting someone who's good at animation to come on board with the Dark Town team as well. It's just something that I really just do like minimal animations in the battles and stuff. But hopefully for the next one as well, we're going to expand on that a bit more. Just keep expanding. Just keep trying to get it a wee bit better every time.
So we've kind of reached that halfway point of the episode.
Is that only halfway? Jeez,
What happens when you get on
how much am I getting paid for this again?
Yeah. And I'm glad that you brought that up because this is a topic that has been going on Twitter regarding the Dreamiverse all week, and the topic is it wrong to be or to ask to be paid for your work in dreams? I've listened to both sides of this argument, and I've just been, you know, kind of just embedded in my bed because of a medical issue. So I've had all the time to just follow what people are saying. And listening to both sides of this argument, I've only seen one person so far come out and respond the way I think I would, which is it depends on the project.
Absolutely.
Like
100%. I mean, if you don't mind me jumping in.
No, go ahead.
For me personally, I think it completely depends. It depends on the project and it depends on the level of skill. So if you're asking someone that's on the capers of Bad Robo to make you a scene, ultra realistic, that's going to be playable, then yeah, you need to pay that guy because, you know, if you're expecting that level of quality, you need to appreciate the element of time that's going to go into develop something like that for you. And if they ask you for payment, that shouldn't be frowned upon because it's a lot of work, you know. And like, you know, if you're asking someone to animate for you to the skill of Green Guy, Bison, yeah, you should pay the guy. You know, if you're interested in this project and it means that much to you, then you'll be willing to pay out for it regardless. But if you're asking someone that is a novice or someone that hasn't got to put hours and hours and hours of work into it, then no, you shouldn't be asking for money because this is a community-driven experience. You know, Dreams isn't really something you can make money out of yet. You can right now, but for the mass populace of dreamers, it's not a money-making platform. So yeah, you should definitely help out your fellow dreamers and collaborate and work together. But if you're asking for something big, then yes, I totally agree that payment is definitely something that is valid.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that as well. It does just come down to each individual and what's happening at the time. I can imagine it'd be really disheartening for somebody to contact maybe someone they really like or who they're a fan of and ask them to help out, and then just to get a message back saying, "Oh, sure, but it's going to cost you." You know, we're all just in dreams just to create and have fun. It's not everybody's got the money to do this. But as you said, if you just want somebody to make you something rather than have them collab on it, but if you want to just hire somebody to make something like Bad Robo, make you a great scene, or someone just to make you a bit of logic that works perfectly and you never have to think about it again. I mean, if they want money for it, then and you've got the money to give them, it's not a big deal, really. You know, it's just whether you want to pay for it. Not many people want to pay for it. Some stuff in Darktown, would I pay for it for people? I think I would. You know, there's certain aspects of Darktown that I'm not entirely happy with because it's outside of my skill range. And if I could get somebody to do it for, I mean, it depends how much people are asking, you know, how much you want to pay. But if somebody wants to do it for like $20, $30, $40, $50 or pounds or whatever, then I could maybe be okay with that if I knew I was getting the perfect thing that I asked for.
Yeah, and I think that it well, because as y'all have said, time is money is a saying for a reason. Future, like it depends on the future plans of the project, but ultimately it comes down to, you know, the spirit of dreams is a free-flowing hub of creation. So, like, with that being said, we've constantly talked about the monetization of dreams. That's been a conversation since the beginning of all of this. And, you know, part of that is because the monetization establishes a path forward for the platform. And for a lot of people who've been saying, like, no, it shouldn't come down to money. Like, if that's how we feel about the platform, like, I feel like, why doesn't that apply to those who work within it? What we do is a job to someone.
Yeah.
Like, and so, like, it's like, I feel like the person needs to have, like, everybody has their say. If you feel what you're working on is worth money, then that is a decision you make. And then the person who asked you to do said thing has a decision to make on their end as to whether or not they want to pay you. And they have to look at how that's going to affect, because they know your quality or they wouldn't have come to you. So it's, they have to be willing to take those hits to their project, and you have to be willing to not get that project if money is an issue. And it just creates a more realistic dynamic within the community, in my opinion.
I think it's more to do with like how people are getting paid. You know, if you ask somebody to do something and they ask you for money, then it's just one person handing cash over to another person. You know, I think Media Molecule itself and Dreams itself should like be able to monetize in game, so you don't have to feel like you're sending some guy or some person money just to do something for you. Whereas you can earn your monetization from Dreams. I think a good idea for Dreams would be to have like some kind of like creators account or something that you could pay for monthly, whether that be like £10 monthly or whatever, and that gives you a lot more benefits, and also it would be good if it gave you the addition to put some of your games behind a paywall. Maybe Media Molecule could have their own currency, kind of like Dream Dollars or something like that, and if you wanted to, you could put a lock on your games, your brand new game, say it costs $1 Dream Dollar to unlock. You use that and it's unlocked for the person, for the whole time they want to play it, and that Dream Dollar goes towards the creator.
As much as I like the idea, I think
it's
of a Dream Dollar. Yeah, I love the idea of a Dream Dollar, like, or Impnoids or whatever. But I don't know if that would take away from the whole thing that is Dreams. Play, create, share. That's the metaphor for Dreams, and to be able to dream surf and just go and play whatever you want. It's an ever-lasting library of indie game content. To suddenly allow everybody to be put in paywalls on their projects, everyone's going to do it, and then all of a sudden it's Dreams Steam edition. So I don't think they would go down that route. I think personally what they would probably do is allow the top dreamers to enter like a partnership program, like a monetization program, say like Team Peak Detective, for instance. they make top quality games. The whole Dreamiverse loves them. They have a following, so they would be allowed into the program to create premium dreams that would then come at a price. So that it continues to the ability to dream surf for free whilst still having premium content that you could pay for.
Sure. I mean, it's just the dream, isn't it? Well, excuse the pun. It's just to sit and play dreams and get paid for it, really.
Well, of course it is. I mean, that's why, and it is going to be a problem because, I can't say that anyone on Dreams that has made a creation doesn't want to think of it as a business or as, a career path, because that's why we're all here in the first place. We love to create, whether that be music, animation, games, whatever the case may be on Dreams. Dreams just allows us to do the thing that we've always wanted to do, but not necessarily had the education or the tools to do it with.
Yeah.
So, definitely all the people in Dreams, including myself, want to, find a career in this type of platform. I think Media Molecule has the ability to provide that. It's just a matter of how they're going to do it. It's a very complicated process. It's a big black hole with lots of red tape, and yeah, I can definitely see it because they've got a 10-year plan. And at the end of the day, if Dreams does not have any form of income coming into it within the next 3 or 4 years, it's going to die, whether you like it or not, because they can't continue to run it without any income.
For sure, yeah.
Something's going to happen. It's just what's going to happen.
I mean, I wonder right now, where do they make? How do they even make money? Media Molecule, they give the game away for like £40. I think it just got a permanent price drop
20,
as well.
It has, yeah.
It's crazy.
And that's why I think it's going to come to that point. They're dropping the price. They're trying to get as many people on the platform to develop, because they do have a unique tool set that develops unlike anything that I've seen, at least. It seems to be a lot easier to develop in Dreams. The community base is much better to communicate with than, say, someone on a Unreal Engine community. Everything's different. And so I think they're just trying to build up their player base to say, right, we have enough numbers now. Let's open up our business platform for Dreams, or whatever that may be.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I want to go back to is the idea. Well, you said it, and then someone typed it, and I want to make sure. It was JC Hedges said, personally feel like any kind of monetization built within the Dreams platform goes against the spirit of Dreams. So monetization built within the platform. Okay. See, I feel because a lot of people have used that same thing, that same statement, but not within the platform, like with people being like, I'll pay me for what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But I also look at it as the more of an inner culture that we set that up, like that we use to set that up, the bigger we're going to help the platform without Media Molecule having to do anything. Yeah. Because if people do find out that money can be made just in projects, now, of course, no one's going to come in with, the Will Smith or the Tom Cruise contract line where they're like, yeah, pay me $15 million for, no one's going to come in with that. But if people know that there's voice work to be had in this platform, and that there are people trying to take it, as far as it can be, I mean, all of that stuff gets Dreams more attention.
Definitely.
Like, yeah. So it's so weird when I was reading, and I'm not disagreeing with anyone who says it, because this is an open topic. This is an open topic with many sides. It's complex, but when I heard people really matter of fact being like, no matter what, you should not be getting money for what you do in Dreams. I was blown away.
That's just stupid. I mean, if it was any other platform, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah.
That's what annoys me with it, is if this was a Blender community, an Unreal Engine community, we wouldn't be having this conversation. You'd be expected to be paid for your work. Just because it's Dreams and it's a closed-off platform shouldn't justify that you have to give your work away for free, especially if you're spending hours and hours on something that someone's requested. You can't just expect, I'll just ask this guy to collab with me. Hey, can you build this really complex character with 20 hours worth of logic in it because we're collabing together? No, the world doesn't work like that, and it shouldn't work like that in Dreams either.
Definitely.
You either collab together on something that you're both passionate about and you want to work together, like I do with my team, with Dino. That's a that's a community generated collaborative project that we're all passionate about, so it's different. But if you're just expecting to, and I use an air quote slightly, collab with someone to get 40 hours of work done because you can't be bothered to put the work in yourself, then no, it's ridiculous.
I just, my question would be for people, and I honestly want to hear, because I'm going through what I see in chat. I'm a little behind, but I'm making my way through it, and I just want to know if anybody feels like no money, period, like it can't be in. Like, let me know, because I just, everything I hear, I try to follow the logic into the next stage of what it'll be. So like, you know, are there people right now that are mad that, you know, Martin Nebelong can sell his creations to different companies? Like, you know, I mean, I'm definitely not. But him being able to do so, and this goes back to what I was last saying, like, puts more shine on Dreams.
Oh, yeah.
And on the community.
It certainly does. But my point with that would be, as much as that's great for the community, and it keeps Dreams going for the community in the sense that, you know, people realize that there is the ability to make money with Dreams in that sense.
And there's an untapped market of creators.
Absolutely, but on the other end of the stick, Media Molecule, or better yet, Sony, is not getting any of that money. Mm-hmm. So unless there is monetization within Dreams itself, then that will die along with Dreams, because, you know, servers don't run for free, devs don't patch games for free. You know, there's got to be something somewhere.
Well, and people don't make games for free. You know, like as you said, if you spend a lot of time in a game, and I've spent a lot of time in Darktown, I don't expect to be paid for him to give. I've never in my whole time asked anybody for money. I've never put out a, what do you call it? You know, people have got these
a Patreon,
like a Patreon or anything like that. You know, I'm happy just to make and people to play. But the hard fact of the matter is if somebody was giving me money, you would be playing these games that I'm making a lot faster, a lot quicker. It would be bigger, grander. I would have time to sit. Right now we're in lockdown, so I've got all the time in the world to sit and make the games. That's what meant I was able to make Homecoming and bring it out because of the lockdown. But most of the time, you know, you're at work or life gets in the way. When it comes down to that, just money for that, it's just money for your work, for you to sit there and sit and make a game. You know, I would be interested in that. You know, because all I want to do is get these games out quick to people to play and for them to enjoy it.
And yeah, money would definitely have a big impact on your development of that. No different for anybody else. My issue with it is that although everything that I've said is true, and that, you know, Dreams needs to have some type of monetization in order for it to continue, it does scare me of what Dreams will become because of it. Because no matter what they do, it's going to change Dreams completely.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's a slippery slope.
So, I like I said, I'm still looking at chat, and I wanted to look back at. Let me see here. Skinny Chad says, it's an assumption to think that Media Molecule need to make money. Sony could be happy to throw away a bunch of money to test it. And I feel like that was directed at you, Jamie. So
okay. Yeah, no, I'm fine to answer it. Yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, they're clearly not, you know, they have a big bank account, so they can easily just set this aside as a passion project just to create something for marketing purposes, even though they don't market the games, nor do they market Dreams, but that's besides the point. But as far as testing it, yeah, I do see what you're saying, but ultimately, though, from a business perspective, even if it's just a test, there still has to be an opportunity for it to make money. And from my point of view, and not looking at it as a game, but looking at it as a, you know, an investment that they have made, I would not see any company, regardless of their size, invest in a 10-year plan with funding for the next 10 years for something to not expect anything to come out of it. It's not on the cards. Something has to happen with it. There has to be a plan. And the reason why I say that is because there is so much potential for Dreams to make massive amount of money. From a business perspective, I mean, you're literally sitting on a whirlpool of thousands and thousands of indie developers that can be locked to your platform for absolutely nothing. So yeah, I get your point, but I would have to disagree and say that, you know, you wouldn't invest the time, the money, the resources, and a full studio to something without expecting something to come out of it.
Said like the true PR jammy that we all know and love, Lucid. But I don't know. I'm seeing some things here. Like Dorian says, I don't mind people making money out of dreams, but I would definitely not pay someone for them to do something for me in dreams. Also, I hope we never have to pay for individual games things in dreams.
You see, I don't know if it, for people that come into dreams and like someone like myself that is absolutely terrible at actually creating anything besides music. I mean, that's pretty much where my passion drives in dreams. But if I wanted to make a game and I wanted some premium assets from like, say Magma Monster, for instance, someone that I follow and quite fond of their creations. If Magma Monster come out with a premium asset pack for like £5 that's got, 20 assets in it, I wouldn't feel terrible about paying £5 for an asset pack so I can just drag and drop it into a creation. I don't see a problem with that.
So, yeah, I lost the comment because, like I said, I've been trying to follow along here. But I think it was Wargarble who said, we forget that dreams... Oh, here we go. Dreams is still for kids, which people forget. We don't know how much money have. We don't know how Sony is supporting them. We don't know enough. Dreams was never about making people pay for what was created. It's an additional thing.
You don't know that, though.
And Jammy James.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know I'm hogging the microphone here. Like, I totally agree with you. We don't know what their budget is. We don't know what Sony's intentions are. We don't know anything. But on the same conversation, on the other end of the stick, you also don't know what the intentions were in the first place. There could be this whole big plan for 8 years down the line once the community's grown and we have experts in dreams that are able to create stuff 5 times faster than they was 5 years ago. Then that's an opportunity to open up a market for that. We just don't know. But from a business perspective, no company is going to invest this amount of money into something for purely a publicity stunt. And if they did, they'd be marketing it a lot better than they are. Apart from the adverts for the initial release in VR, there hasn't been exactly a massive marketing campaign for Dreams to try and gain players to it. And Dreams doesn't have the largest player base in the world. Its player base is very closed off. It's very small in respect to other communities on different other platforms. So they're not doing everything in their power to push players to it, which in my belief takes me back to my original discussion, is that they're trying to slowly build it over a portion of time. And then they're going to market it as, PlayStation is the only home console experience where you're able to create games and then publish them on our store. That's where I think it's going.
So, Dirty, Notre Dame asks Marshall, if he says that you look strong, how much do you bench?
It must just be the way the light's hitting me. I've put on quite a lot of weight over the lockdown. But I can bench it. Would you want me to bench?
The only bench that matters. Yes.
No, I mean,
yes.
Thanks for that compliment. But if you saw me in real life, it would be very different.
He's like, I'd only disappoint you.
For sure.
So Wargarble says, do you think Media Molecule thought that Dreams would oversell? Or is it part of the plan? Aren't stupid. They and Sony know this is different.
Well, I'm going to let someone else have the microphone for a minute and I will join in later.
I feel like most of these questions spawned off of the PR jammy tone. That's why I'm not answering. I'm just like, I'll be the chat guy.
I'll let someone else go in and then I'll come in afterwards.
I guess that's me then. I'm the only one left to answer. I don't know. I mean, it makes sense because Media Molecule is all about community, right? And if you grow that community too fast, you're going to just lose control of it. So I think they are taking steps to grow it at their own rate that they want to grow it at. Because, if millions of more people started coming in, you wouldn't get that same community, that close link that you've got with the community. Watch their streams and they know everybody's handles and users and what games they've played and stuff like that. It just becomes harder to control the more people you've got. And they have got probably one of the best communities right now.
I would agree.
Okay.
I would agree.
I would say that Media Molecule went in expecting low numbers in the beginning, simply because Dreams is such a difficult game to advertise and sell. It's like, how do you explain something that does everything within a 2-minute trailer? Very difficult to do. It's something very difficult to advertise, and I think I would find a difficult job marketing Dreams in a way that would be able to gain the numbers that, you know, an initial release from a first-party studio would come to expect. But on the other end of it, I would say that because of Media Molecule's popularity with the Little Big Planet series, you know, it took until the second game before they had 1 million custom levels created in the first game. So it took quite a long time to actually gain those numbers. So I think Media Molecule and Sony are playing the long road, and, you know, expect small numbers in the beginning, slowly update the game as you go along with more updates, more features, more ideas that you get from the community. And then eventually you're going to have this pretty much fully polished product that has everything that's needed to utilize all of its features, and then the player base will be stable.
Okay. Well, I feel like we've wrapped around and gone back into the marketing aspect, and I just want to make sure everybody has their full say on the like people being paid for their things and dreams. I feel like we have a pretty general consensus that it basically comes down to a case by case basis, and it's between the head of said project and the person that they're hoping to get.
Yeah.
Is that pretty much where we are?
I mean, there's that as well. I mean, if someone wants money for it, you can always shop around and go to somebody else. But I think some people forget just how large of a library Dreams already has. You know, in Darktown, absolutely, I'd say 99% of everything in Darktown is community assets. Didn't make any of it myself. I just took it straight from the Dreamverse, made myself a nice collection of all stuff that kind of fits together on that. So all of Darktown's just all community assets. You just need to go in there and dig and find what you want. If you want to pay somebody to make you some assets for your own game, then, you know, it's up to yourself. But you could just go into the Dreamverse, search for what you want, and you've got like 10, 20 examples ready to choose from. A lot of people think, some people have this idea that using community assets is like maybe cheating, or they want it all to be their own original work. But whether you ask somebody else to create something or you get it for the Dreamverse, it's the same thing that you're getting.
So I don't know. That kind of takes me, well, before I maybe turn this conversation somewhere else again. I really want to, my stance on it is that it's a case to case basis, and all it does is create a dynamic of conversation within the community, which is ultimately a good thing. It leaves the person who has to pay with the, do I find someone else who I don't have to pay? Like, you have to be willing to lose that asset or to gain that asset. And these are real conversations, I believe, that even big companies have. Like, for instance, I believe Nintendo had this argument a long time ago, and that's why we have characters in 2021 who speak in blips and bloops. Like, this is why we still don't have main characters with voices in Nintendo games. Like, they said, are we going to base this, more in, getting the same thing that you would say, a Call of Duty, where it's like, we have this person in the game this year, and it's, or do we just continue as we've always been? We're a toy company. That's what Nintendo believes. So, well, they get to state that they are, but at the same time, I'm not trying to disagree with them. I'm just saying, like, I think that conversation is going to mature the Dreams community. And, I think a lot of people that believe that it somehow is like an affront to the community. I think I don't think it. I would hope nobody really thinks that, but I've been looking at a few comments that I'm just like, really? And not that you're wrong, but it's like some people don't realize how much they're asking. And this is something that I feel that as a person who comes from an artist background, it's always the case. It's one of the most consistent things that can happen to you as an artist is people don't know what they're asking for. For instance, we've brought in people in Dino, and been like, hey, can you try to do this? And if they had said to me, like, what's the pay? But I would have been like, name it. Because there's a reason I came to you. Like, there's a level of quality I want. But like, I've picked up a project recently where I thought, like, the project as I saw the video that I was being pitched, I was like, yeah, that's cool. I think I can do that. And come to find out, this thing is quite possibly like basically an audiobook.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like at most a 10-minute thing. And so now it's just like, I'm still going to do it because like I said, Vicious doesn't lie to the people. I'm going to do it. But at the same time, it's like, man, if I had known this thing was going to be the Iliad, like I probably would have asked a few more questions. But,
exactly.
But also if I wasn't me and I was like, you know what? Nah, this guy's got to pay me. Like, I don't think there's something wrong with that either. But it does come down to the person. So
it's very subjective. It comes down to the project, the scale, the time, the actual talent that you're seeking out. There's so many different variables involved with this particular conversation, and there is no one right answer for it. But I think there's a massive difference between collaboration and demanding for something and then getting angry because they asked you for $1 for it. I think you need to be realistic. Just because it streams does not mean that people want to work for free. There will be dreamers out there that will be expected to be paid for their work on a consultancy basis, and if that's their prerogative, that's their prerogative.
And if you're not working on a game, let me just throw that out there for people because we often talk about games a lot because that's what most people work on. But I still maintain the only reason I got into Dreams was because of what it offered me animated and, feature film wise. Like that was my whole thing. Well, if you're looking at it as an IP that you are planning on taking or possibly extending out of Dreams, I feel like some people, you have to look at the fact that voice actor you got who really pulled off that character or, did a great job and might be the whole reason that you get to take and pitch that to someone to make yourself money.
Yeah.
So if you go outside and make money off of it, whether it be for music or voice acting or whatever, I feel like if you look at it in the big picture of what you intend to do, it softens the blow for anyone who's thinking like, I'm not getting paid currently for this. Why should I pay someone else? Like, but that did bring me, if no one else has anything to say on that, I did want to take this in a different direction because of something Marshall said. So anybody got something else to add on this topic?
No,
because I feel like I've kind of predominantly just rampant.
Sorry to interrupt. I just need to warn you that I'm on a 5% warning on my phone. So I don't know if I'm going to end up getting cut off if you're going to lose me.
No.
It's this stupid iPhone lightning charger to like headphone as well. I can't charge and talk at the same time. So if you lose me, unfortunately, I think that might be me. Just in case I get cut off, I just want to say that it's been so much fun being on. You guys have made it really comfortable for me to come in and talk, and I had a lot of fun. And hopefully, when I release the next Uptown, you'll have me back on.
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah.
So basically, you said that you had you made the game from just going on and picking up things, and last week during the roundtable, I had brought up for a small discussion, like, how do you feel like if you got picked, like, how would you feel if someone's game actually got picked up, whether it be by Media Molecule or outside of Dreams? Like, how would you feel if like you had made something and they used it in their game and they got picked up and you don't really have a connection to that?
I mean, it's a difficult thing, but at the same time, as I said, like all Dark Town's like 100% like community assets. So if that ever gets picked up, I need to. So there's going to be like hundreds of people whose assets I'm currently using who are in the game, and they're all going to be upset. You can't give. It's just the way it is with Dreams is you can't give everybody the coverage that they need. You know. If you put something up as remixable, then unfortunately it's left open to anybody to use. I always try to make sure that I give everybody, put as many people in the credits as I can who make the assets and stuff like that. And if as you're talking, if anything ever happened and I did ever get any money, I would always make sure that the people whose assets I used the most were covered. You know, yeah. But at the same time, I use so many, it's hard to keep track of whose is whose. And you know, there'll be people that are disappointed that didn't get mentioned in the credits to Dark Town, but I tried to go through and see as much as I could, but you just use so many, and it's just too hard to keep track of, really.
That might actually be a really good feature for the future for Media Molecule to upload into Dreams, is an automatic credits generator.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That takes all the usernames from all the assets you've used.
Yeah, I mean, for the little things for the little short things that I've done, like animation wise and episodic, I always go back through, take down everybody's name, and then I make an actual credits after whatever I've made to make sure everybody's name is on there. And I haven't been able to, focus on continuing doing that because I kind of stopped that to work with Dino. But yeah, I mean, an automatic credits generator would be pretty amazing. Because when I was going through making that, I was just like, man, you trying to tell me there's no easy way I could do this? I mean, my things are pretty small, so it wasn't that bad. But there were things like that I was just like, I didn't see a way to do this in Dreams. And that kind of threw me for a loop. But yeah. So I just wanted to ask that because I felt like I asked it last week. And I feel like we didn't spend a lot of time on it, but the idea that it is a community, but even as a community, there's going to come a point where someone wants to leave or someone wants to not leave the community, but take their idea possibly outside of Dreams.
Okay.
And so I just feel like there's a big point of contention coming in the future, not doomsday to Dreams level stuff, but
well, this is what I've always thought of because anybody that knows me as well knows I'm a big Pig Detective fan, and I think if anybody's going to have their own game leave Dreams and go on to a platform, it was probably going to be Pig Detective. So I just hope, because I've voiced a couple of voices in Pig Detective 2, Pig Detective 3, so I'm hoping to go down to the studios to do Pig Detective 4, get paid properly for it. If Lottie and Seb are still there, my rate's gone up, so we'll agree to prices later. But I'm just hoping that, in the future when people do leave in that they still keep that kind of... I feel like Pig Detectives especially would keep that community feeling going. We'd probably have, the people that have always helped so far to help again on the game as they go forward. I think that's really what's special about Dreams. You see it as well in some other people's creations, try to think of one. When people show other creators' names, maybe in some racing games you'll pass and you've got something like Offreman's slide out and he's got all the names of the Dreamers and stuff like that. It's just a big community and it's good to keep people involved in that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. I kind of don't want to go past when his phone dies. I feel like we've reached a good point. And I
think we have, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to after we're done, I'm going to probably raid Magma if anybody wants to give him a heads up. But hopefully I'll also we lost him. That was
no. Yeah, that was it.
We lost him just that fast. And I'm not gonna do the roulette, the thing that happened last week. I'm not gonna do it this week. I'm not here. I'm gonna do a quick edit. There we go. We're gonna raise this up.
Ooh.
We were so close. We were so close. I could feel it coming, and I was like, I think I can preempt this. But My timing was all wrong. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix this live, which y'all know because of my settings. I very much hate. I very much hate. But I don't know. All of these conversations, and I think what we're gonna notice, if you haven't already, is a lot of these conversations are going to continue to grow and evolve within this community, because we, as y'all were stating, like, we don't know a lot at this point. Like, where we're going, where the community's headed. All we know is that we love it. Like, that's pretty much it. We love this community. And I actually want to say one thing.
Okay. You do realize this might turn into a 2-hour episode if you mention this one thing, right?
No. This is something very personal to me, because I whenever, because I've gone on to other people's podcasts and stuff, and I always give a disclaimer, and I wouldn't give it except I feel like people feel this way about the way I speak about dreams, and so I want to make sure I straighten it up now before there's any type of preconceived notion about me or who I am or what my thoughts are. The name Mighty Vicious, if I could speak, the name Mighty Vicious comes from the fact that I speak and argue in a tone that a lot of people perceive as being absolutist. And so they take it as me being like really negative and kind of not just and egotistical. And so all I ask is for anybody who may think that or may have preconceived notions, it's just how I sound when I really care about something. Like, when I'm really being serious about how much I love all of your creations. Like, nobody here is, okay, the knees may be a little raw, but I'm not sucking up to anybody out here. If I say that I really enjoy and love your work, I really enjoy and love your work. And when I say anything about, like, my ideas of, or my opinions as far as games and all that stuff go, know that it's just because that, like, I really feel it. I'm not grifting out here. Like, if I appear to get mad about something that I say bothers me, it's because I'm mad. I'm not hamming it up for anybody. But that's the same reason as someone pointed out that I vaped during this podcast. And I vaped on the podcast with Abby because I'm Mighty Vicious, because I am who I am at all times. I don't change for anyone. And Jamie can attest to that.
I can vouch.
Just like one day, one day, and I know somebody's gonna come on here with the plan to do it. Liam just said, and if he says nothing, he hates your work. No, y'all remember the episode with Insane Alpha Beta where he was saying he felt attacked because of my opinions on horror games. I don't
like horror games either, and we made it quite evident to him. We loved that. He wants to come on the show, and and we both made it quite apparent from the beginning. We're not fans of horror games, but we appreciate the work that went into the development of your game because it's dreams. We can appreciate that, but it doesn't mean we have to like horror games because you made one.
No, I can still play his horror game, which I did, and I liked it. As far as, I don't like horror games, but I can tell what you were doing here and the way you executed it was good. But I'm not going to act like I like horror games all of a sudden. So but mostly, like I said, I just wanted to let people know because I think the more time people spend with me in this podcast or my other podcast, that it's just the way I speak. But I don't want anybody to think I'm, a pessimist of dreams.
Oh God, no one thinks that. I mean,
you may think no one thinks that.
No,
but I've heard the rumblings. I've heard the rumblings.
It doesn't matter what that 1% of people think. I mean, look, let's be real. I mean, this show is about dreams. It's made out of love. We both love dreams passionately. Dreams has become part of my lifestyle now. I just can't get off the thing. I absolutely love it. It's a great community, and I think it's healthy to have these conversations. And I may sound very pro monetization on Dream, shall we say, but that's purely because I come from a marketing, PR, business background. I've worked for businesses to helping them make money, to market them, to gain profit. So I just see the benefit of that within Dreams from my personal lifestyle. I can see the potential for Dreams to make a ton of money if it's done correctly, providing that it doesn't damage the community, which is the main aspect of what it is. So, it's just healthy conversation about a product that we all love. And yeah, there's, no hard feelings or, nothing set in stone.
Which brings me to this one last thing. Even though the last thing was the last thing. This one last thing.
Okay, come on.
So, where is our Plastic Dreamer? I thought we released it.
Dino.
Yeah.
Marcus was having an issue with releasing it.
Spicy, where are you? I know you're here. He out? Okay. Because I had told somebody, I was like, yeah, I think we released that. Because we've seen it.
I'm going on in Dreams right now, and I'm searching for it, and I'll post a link into the chat.
Okay, so we're in collection 3 under Magma's collection. But let me see here. You can from Falcon. It says you can already make money from Dreams passively via Twitch and YouTube. That's enough for me. I mean, pretty much that's enough for me too. Like, the reason I don't charge people comes down mostly to I have my plans as far as how I intend to turn this into a thing that can help me as far as monetary means. But I don't feel like you guys are the ones that should be paying for me. Like, I feel like I'm going to take this thing, and this thing is going to be my voice acting reel. And then I'll take that voice acting reel and go into the real voice acting market. And by real, I don't mean what your work's not real. I mean, like, the official voice acting market, and then turn that into, an actual profession. But, like I said, that idea changes a little bit, because if y'all are like, yeah, I need you to work on this little project, I'm like, okay. And then it turns out that little project is doing my nutting, because yeah, it's like, yeah, we want you to go hoarse doing these lines. Then I might have something to say. I might be like, yo, can you throw me like a coupon? Yeah, like a coupon for something. Can I get can I get $3 off at Wendy's? Can I get something out of this? Like, but it all comes down to, it's your choice. You decide whether or not you want to pay for somebody, and that person gets to decide whether or not they're going to deny their services for it. And, there's no wrong way. We all move forward with the learned knowledge. That's my stance. But yes. Falcon says you do have a great voice. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. So is there anything else we need to go over? I don't want to give one more thing. But
I think we've pretty much covered all the topics we wanted to discuss today. I mean, yeah, that conversation on the whole monetization, paying for work and stuff went on for quite a nice time. I enjoy talking about those particular subjects within Dreams, because, it does come up from time to time. And no spicy waffles. There is no surprise Dino trailer. Please do not give me a heart attack.
Not yet. Not yet. No. Not yet. But we're working on quite a lot of stuff for y'all who are interested in what we're doing with Dino. And Dirty Flusher, Politics and Religion, that's on Wednesdays. That's my other podcast where I talk about that stays off of Dreams, because but I do believe that one day there is going to be someone that jumps on here just to try to trigger just to try to trigger us. And we're not, for whatever reason, maybe it'll be because I'm in constant pain like I am now. Maybe they'll make it through my screening process, but I actually welcome it because one day you are going to see me actually angry. And I hope you don't think less of me. When it happens, I hope you don't think less of me. So
Dorian asked any idea on when we're going to get another trailer. So just a quick update then on Dino. Production's going very well. We're working on a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Things are going the way that we intend them to go. Production is going at the speed we would like it to go. We do intend to obviously show more this year, but as of right now, it's prevalent that the team just put their head down and really continue on their work to get what we need done within the time that we've set to do it in, so that then we are confident we'll be able to show you stuff that we believe is worth showing at a time when it's ready. So yeah, just be patient. We've got a lot of stuff in the works, and there's some very exciting stuff coming along soon.
Indeed. And with that, we will go ahead and end it. Couldn't think any less already trying to trigger you. See, that's the thing. I'm unless you hit like one of my vital points, like you like, I don't get angry very easily, but once I'm angry, it's not good. It's not. And like I said, what do you got to say, Jamie? What are you trying to give them? You trying to give them a?
I'm not giving the people what they want.
Okay. All right.
Look, we've come to the end of the show. We do not have time for you to rage out right now. We need at least a good 45 minutes.
Well, Talk33 said, I'll clean people's gutters out in exchange for game art if anyone's interested. Got the game art?
Oh, my God.
God, I love this community. All right, everybody. It's been wonderful. Go ahead and give our love to Magma Monster. We're going to try to get him on here next week. Actually,
yes.
if he wants to come, I know he said in the past that he wants to, but
if any of you in the raid, join Magna's stream, just push him along. Say you should come on the Made in Dreams podcast. You'd be a great guest.
Yes, let him know. Let him know. All right. Well, see you later, everybody. We love you.
Thank you for joining. Love you guys.